1. The cave looked small from the outside, but it was very big inside. It was pitch black in front of them. The cave was about 30 to 40 feet tall, enough for 3 people to walk side by side. Xiao Yan vigilantly looked around. With the help of the light from the glazed monarch flame, he touched the mountain wall and slowly walked forward. Gradually, Xiao Yan felt a heat coming from both sides of the mountain wall. He felt some heat when he touched it. At the same time, dots of red light appeared in the tunnel ahead. Yan Yi was delighted. He couldn't help but increase his pace. However, the glazed monarch flame that was protecting his body did not weaken in the slightest. When Xiao Yan finally arrived at the place where the light came from, he could not help but take a deep breath. From here on out, the mountain walls on both sides of the mountain were filled with scarlet-red crystals. They were perfectly embedded in the cracks of the stone, and he carefully felt the energy contained within these red stones. Xiao Yan couldn't help but be shocked. The fire element energy contained within them was almost twice as much as the energy in the heavenly beast cavern outside. It was truly abnormal. There were so many energy contained within the red stones that could be seen everywhere. Xiao Yan sighed in his heart. He looked at the stones and thought for a moment, but still did not take them. Since these things were everywhere, then they weren't real treasures. Time was of the essence, and with the storage ring, they wouldn't be able to store a lot of things. Xiao Yan immediately rushed forward. As these red stones had an extremely majestic fire attribute energy, the surface of the stones also emitted a faint fiery light. The fiery light emitted by the tens of thousands of stones also lit up the cave as if it was daytime. As he advanced forward, Xiao Yan vaguely felt that the glazed monarch flame in his body seemed to have a restless feeling. He suppressed the excitement in his heart. Xiao Yan held onto the mountain wall and carefully walked inside. The further he went, the more excited he became. The red stone wall became more and more complete. When he first entered, it was only the size of a fist. Now the size of the stone could almost be compared to a millstone, and the fire element energy on the stone also increased drastically. After a short while, Xiao Yan felt an inexplicable heat coming from within his body. His face was gradually covered in sweat, and his skin was faintly red. He wiped his sweat. Xiao Yan looked at the ground. Some of the ordinary stones on the ground could no longer withstand the intense heat and turned into lava that covered the ground. Even with the protection of the glazed monarch flame, Xiao Yan still felt as if he was in a furnace. When he saw the ground made of lava, he took a deep breath of the hot air. Good heavens, such a high temperature, I reckon even ordinary emperors would not be able to withstand it. Rubbing his eyes that were somewhat sore due to the sweat entering his eyes, Xiao Yan endured the high temperature and continued forward for another 10 minutes. When he turned a corner, a hole the size of a house suddenly appeared in front of him. Before Xiao Yan could rejoice, a black shadow flashed in front of him, and then a ball of hot flame shot towards him. Xiao Yan was shocked, and he didn't have time to dodge. His right fist, which was wrapped by the glazed monarch flame, suddenly punched out, and collided with the rapidly approaching flame. Oh! With a muffled groan, Xiao Yan could not help but take 2 or 3 steps back. His chest, which was already stuffy due to the heat, felt even more uncomfortable. When he was retreating, Xiao Yan finally saw the attacker's appearance clearly. It was a very small red wolf. Its body was covered in flames, and its eyes were staring at Xiao Yan with endless ferocity. There's actually another one. Xiao Yan saw the small red wolf moaning helplessly. He heard the low growls coming from the latter's throat. Clearly, there was a strong threat. With a low growl, the little crimson fire flame wolf suddenly pounced towards Xiao Yan. Its big mouth was full of sharp teeth. Sensing that the latter's qi was much stronger than Man Li's after consuming the blood barbaric pill, Xiao Yan could only temporarily avoid the attack. The glass-like monarch flames on his body covered his entire body tightly. A few afterimages flashed under Xiao Yan's feet, and he dodged the moment the small crimson fire flame wolf pounced towards him. When he appeared a few meters behind the little wolf, Xiao Yan secretly exhaled. He didn't expect that the 3000 lightning movement would have some effect in the great world. Xiao Yan dodged the fierce attack. The little wolf roared angrily, and the flame that was flowing around its body seemed to have become bigger. Turning around, the little wolf stared at Xiao Yan with its red eyes. Slowly, it walked towards the ladder. Behind him was the hole in the cave and there was no way back. Seeing the little wolf walking towards him with red eyes, Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat. His already hot heart became even more impatient, and sweat began to flow down his forehead. Before he fell to the ground, he was vaporized by the high temperature. The little wolf slowly pressed forward. Xiao Yan also slowly retreated until he entered the cave. Only when his retreating steps were blocked by the wall did he stop. As soon as his back touched the wall, the high temperature instantly burned his clothes into ashes. Xiao Yan couldn't help but let out a low cry of pain. A heart-piercing pain came from his back. He forcefully endured the pain and opened his sore eyes. Xiao Yan stared at the little crimson fire flame wolf, which was about to pounce on him, and took a deep breath of the hot air. He stretched out his palm, and a crimson gold flame turned into a Xiao Yi, appearing in his palm. Xiao Yan could not help but smile bitterly when he sensed that the Xiao Yans in his body had been consumed due to the high temperature. This was going to be a huge problem. He might really die here today. The small crimson fire flame wolf roared in a low voice. The red wolf fur on its body stood up. Sparks as thin as silver needles shot towards Xiao Yan like locusts. Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly, and he didn't dare to remove the glazed monarch flame that was protecting his body. He could only let the Xiao Yi turn into a wall of fire to block the attack. At the same time, the remaining origin monarch Qis in his body started circulating rapidly. He kept looking around, trying to get out, when his eyes fell on the 8 pillars of fire that were about 2 meters tall standing in the middle. The fire in Xiao Yan's eyes flashed. This should be the treasure that the middle-aged man had mentioned. However, he didn't have the time to collect the 8 fire pillars. Escaping was the most important thing. Dense sparks kept hitting the wall of fire, causing the wall of fire formed by the Xiao Yi to tremble violently and wail. After the wall of fire persisted for a moment, a soft sound was heard. After which, the Xiao Yi revealed its original form and cried out in pain before stumbling into Xiao Yan's arms. Without the wall of fire blocking it, the remaining fire needles shot towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan did not have time to care about the Xiao Yi's injuries. He suddenly punched out with his right fist. The aura that it carried turned into a huge black fist that smashed towards the rapidly approaching fire needles. Bang! A heavy sound was heard. The huge black fist and the remaining fire needles held each other for a moment. As the color of the huge black fist faded, a large number of fire needles also disappeared. When the huge black fist was completely destroyed, Xiao Yan felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow. He violently crashed into the wall, and couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. When the small crimson fire flame wolf saw this, a trace of human-like joy flashed across its eyes. It suddenly pounced towards Xiao Yan. When the Xiao Yi in Xiao Yan's arms saw the blood that Xiao Yan spat out, it immediately let out a furious squeaking sound. Its aura completely erupted, and almost at the same time, the temperature in the cave also rose rapidly. The moment the temperature in the cave rose, Xiao Yan lost consciousness as if he had been struck by lightning. He fell straight down, and the small crimson fire flame wolf that was about to pounce on Xiao Yan suddenly let out a painful roar. The wolf fur all over his body began to burn, and before the crimson fire flame wolf could fall to the ground, the former was only left with a skeleton. The moment the wolf-shaped skeleton fell to the ground, it was burned to ashes by the extremely high temperature. Only a spirit core that was glowing with red light fell to the ground. The weak red light on the spirit core appeared extremely dim in the burning red cave. Although Xiao Yan was not burned into nothingness under the protection of the glazed monarch flame, his black hair that was originally draped over his shoulders was instantly burned into powder. He became a bald man with a red head. The 8 pillars of fire in the cave were also corroded by the high temperature, melting down to only a meter or so. Inside each pillar of fire, there was a drop of red blood flowing slowly. Under the high temperature, the blood became much redder. What was even stranger was that outside the cave, there were no signs of melting on the wall. It was only a step away. It was as if they were in 2 different spaces. Soon, Xiao Yan, who was lying on the ground, had the protection of the glazed monarch flame. A layer of red color gradually appeared on his skin, and then bubbles of different sizes began to appear. The bubbles burst open, and blood gushed out. Just as Xiao Yan was about to become a bloody person, the Xiao Yi, who was shocked by the crimson fire flame wolf being burned into ashes, suddenly looked in the direction of the 8 pillars of fire. Its pair of golden eyes were filled with shock. A moment later, as if it had been summoned, the Xiao Yi's eyes gradually became confused. It turned into a flame and entered Xiao Yan's body. Xiao Yan, who had fainted on the ground, slowly opened his eyes after the Xiao Yi entered his body. The temperature around his body was no longer as hot as before. He licked his dry lips. Xiao Yan trembled as he stood up. The blood on his body had already condensed into a blood armor. His body moved slightly and fell off his body. His eyes were lifeless as he walked towards the direction of the 8 pillars of fire, as if he was being controlled by someone. Xiao Yan waved his hand and threw out a crimson gold flame. The flame entered the middle of the 8 pillars of fire and instantly disappeared. The next moment, the 8 fire pillars suddenly started spinning rapidly. A cave that could only fit 1 person appeared out of thin air. Without any hesitation, 2 Xiao Yans flashed in Xiao Yan's eyes. He then lifted his leg and walked in. After entering, the cave slowly disappeared. The heat in the cave also quickly faded and returned to normal temperature. Within a few breaths, the huge cave returned to normal. It was as if nothing had happened except for the melting of a lot of stone walls and the increased lava on the ground. As well as the red spirit cores that fell from the center of the cave, they were silently recounting the strange scene just now. This was a world of lava. Crimson red lava gurgled and flowed wherever one's eyes looked. 1,000 feet tall mountain of lava stood towering in the distance. A magma waterfall surged down from the top of the mountain, and it carried an unparalleled impact force as it flowed down 1,000 feet. Hot steam was floating in the air above the magma lake not far away. Huge red bubbles were bubbling up from the lake, and then the bubbles exploded, shooting out magma that was several zhang tall. Xiao Yan, who had regained his senses, stared at the strange scene in front of him with his mouth wide open. He couldn't help but take a deep breath. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva in disbelief. Xiao Yan looked at the sky above him. The sky was also scarlet red, and it was extremely deep. The dark red clouds seemed to weigh thousands of kilograms, and they covered the entire sky. Occasionally, there was a sound of magma that could shake one's heart. What? What is this place? 0 inches, what is this place? Looking at the scene in front of him, Xiao Yan was deeply shocked. There was actually such a strange space underneath the cave of a heavenly beast. Recovering from his shock, Xiao Yan impatiently looked at the Xiao Yi in front of him. At this moment, the Xiao Yi also had a blank expression, but his eyes unconsciously looked towards the magma lake. He threw the questions in his heart to the Xiao Yi and waited for a long time. Only then did Xiao Yan get a vague answer from little Yi. He was summoned here by a mysterious force. Looking at the endless sea of magma around him, Xiao Yan did not feel any heat. In his heart, he somewhat believed what the Xiao Yi said. The Xiao Yi looked around with a solemn expression. Then, its body trembled as if it had been struck by lightning. Its body emitted a golden red light that wrapped around Xiao Yan. Under Xiao Yan's shocked gaze, the Xiao Yi leapt into the boiling magma lake. What entered his eyes was a bright red color. The extremely viscous magma was squeezing Xiao Yan from all directions, causing Xiao Yan to almost suffocate. It wasn't as hot as he had imagined. Xiao Yan struggled to open his eyes, and the origin monarch Qi in his body gushed out, forming a protective barrier in front of him to resist the intense impact of the magma. Huge bubbles appeared in the magma lake from time to time, and then they quickly exploded. The moment the bubbles exploded, the surrounding magma seemed to have received a huge blow, causing ripples to spread in all directions. Sensing the huge impact caused by the explosion of the bubble, Xiao Yan could not help but feel a trace of coldness in his heart. Although his body was protected by the scarlet golden flames, Xiao Yan could still vaguely feel the endless high temperature. He estimated that even if a true sovereign entered the bubble, he would probably die instantly. After advancing for an unknown period of time, Xiao Yan could feel that the surrounding magma was getting thicker and thicker, until it almost solidified into a solid. Just as Xiao Yan felt that it was getting harder and harder to breathe, the endless red color in front of him suddenly disappeared, and what replaced it was a pitch-black endless space. A faint light was emitted from the pitch-black space. Xiao Yan looked towards the source of the light. When he saw the object in front of him clearly, his pupils suddenly shrank to the size of a pinhole. In front of his eyes, a shocking fiery red egg was quietly floating in the air. The surface of the egg was covered with mysterious patterns, and the bottom of the egg was burning with raging flames. The flames were brown in color, and wherever the flames passed, spatial fragments would fall down and be swallowed by the brown flames, turning into ashes. When Xiao Yan saw the egg for the first time, he felt as if he was looking at an ancient giant dragon that dominated the universe. Behind the giant dragon was an endless sea of fire, and within the sea of fire, the fire was soaring into the sky. The giant dragon was hovering above a continuous volcano, as if it was going to soar into the sky. The giant dragon's eyes flashed with the starry sky, like a part of the star sky. Xiao Yan's eyes were fixed on by the giant dragon, as if he was being locked by an ancient ferocious beast. His breathing became rapid. All of a sudden, the giant dragon let out a furious roar towards the sky, and an incomparably vast qi rushed towards Xiao Yan. The moment the huge dragon's aura rushed towards Xiao Yan, the domineering aura that was born in Xiao Yan's body and fighting qi continent unconsciously erupted, and clashed with the dragon's aura. Bang! It was as if the sound of glass shattering could be heard. The huge egg let out a slight rumble, and then Xiao Yan came back to his senses. He took a deep breath. Cold sweat immediately broke out on Xiao Yan's back. He couldn't help but feel shocked in his heart. What level of heavenly beast was the predecessor of this huge egg? Just a single glance was enough to make his soul almost lose its way. Xiao Yan shifted his gaze to the surroundings of the huge egg. When he saw that there was a fire dragon that was dozens of feet long wrapped around the huge egg, he couldn't help but be startled. Although the fire dragon was far from the dragon aura of the ancient giant dragon that appeared in front of Xiao Yan just now, it was more or less the same as the former. Its entire body was covered in flames, and its body was full of strength as it swayed. As soon as the Xiao Yi and Xiao Yan entered the pitch-black space, the fire dragon quickly opened its eyes. Its gaze first fell upon the Xiao Yi, and a trace of excitement flashed through its eyes. After that, it looked at Xiao Yan with a cold expression. The fire dragon let out a low roar, and the dragon's roar resounded in Xiao Yan's ears. Xiao Yan's body began to churn violently like a raging ocean. The origin monarch qi was completely out of his control, and it started to crazily move within his body. Xiao Yan felt a muffled buzzing sound coming from his head, and he immediately felt a stifling sensation in his chest. He forcefully swallowed a mouthful of hot blood. Caught off guard, Xiao Yan looked at the fire dragon. His eyes were filled with anger. If it wasn't for the protection of the glazed monarch flame, he might have already fallen here. He coughed and clenched his fists tightly. His heart was filled with vigilance and puzzlement. The fire dragon turned a blind eye to Xiao Yan's furious eyes. It looked at Xiao Yan with a surprised look. It jumped up from the huge egg and moved its tail slightly, arriving in front of Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan finally saw the full appearance of the fire dragon. The fire dragon's body was covered in flames. As its body swayed, wisps of flames rose into the sky, causing the space around it to slightly distort. Under the flames were dragon scales that were glowing with a cold light. On the enormous dragon head, two sharp dragon horns seemed to be able to pierce through the sky. It was even more ferocious than the ancient void dragon that Xiao Yan had seen before. The fire dragon flew in front of Xiao Yan, suddenly speaking in a human voice. "Human, you are the owner of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame?" Chaos Great Monarch Flame? Xiao Yan could not help but be slightly stunned when he heard this name for the first time. The fury in his eyes also quickly faded, replaced by endless doubt as he turned to look at the Xiao Yi on his shoulder. The Xiao Yi was restless as the fire dragon flew forward. It seemed to have a fear that came from the bottom of its heart. Its eyes were filled with a trace of reverence as it looked at the brown flame underneath the huge egg. Sensing Xiao Yan looking at it, the Xiao Yi shook its head blankly. This was also the first time it had heard of the name, Chaos Great Monarch Flame. "What's wrong? You don't even know the name of this monarch flame when you possess it?" The fire dragon's voice rumbled like thunder, resounding in Xiao Yan's ears. Seeing that the fire dragon was no longer overbearing, Xiao Yan could only say, "I am a fighting monarch that ascended from the lower realms. The flame I possess is a heavenly flame from the lower realms. I wonder what the Chaos Great Monarch Flame you are talking about is." The fire dragon mused for a moment after hearing this. It was a long while before it slowly opened its mouth to speak while Xiao Yan was feeling uneasy. There are several kinds of monarch flames in the great world that can incinerate the entire world. Each of them possess the might to burn the sky and boil the sea. There is a type of monarch flame that is called a Chaos Great Monarch Flame. The aura of this monarch flame is almost similar to that of your heavenly flame. It should be a chaos great monarch flame. Xiao Yan was deeply shocked by this short sentence of the fire dragon. He looked at the blank and ignorant Xiao Yi on his shoulder. His eyes were immediately filled with an endless fiery heat. This fellow was actually a kind of powerful flame in the great world. The fire dragon looked at the Xiao Yi. A trace of flame flashed in its eyes. The Xiao Yi gently hummed and involuntarily turned into a crimson gold flame. The fire dragon's dragon claw moved, and the crimson gold flame automatically flew in front of the former. The fire in the fire dragon's eyes became even more intense. After looking at it for a while, it suddenly let out a surprised sound. A trace of shock flashed across its eyes, and it remained silent for a long time. Xiao Yan's heart tightened. Before he could ask anything, the fire dragon suddenly spoke. Have you encountered other monarch flames before? Seeing Xiao Yan shake his head, the doubt in the fire dragon's eyes intensified. Until one of the dragon claws reached into the scarlet golden flame. The doubts turned into endless joy. The fire dragon couldn't help but let out a long roar towards the sky. Its voice was filled with excitement. After a long while, the fire dragon finally calmed down. He looked at Xiao Yan with endless joy in his eyes. Human, King needs to borrow your Chaos Great Monarch Flame. 1-inch King needs your Chaos Great Monarch Flame. When he said this, the fire dragon couldn't hide the excitement in his voice. Borrow? Xiao Yan was slightly stunned. He glanced at the Xiao Yi, and a layer of caution quickly appeared in his eyes. Looking at the fire dragon, whose body was trembling due to excitement, Xiao Yan said in a deep voice, "What do you mean?" The fire dragon's eyes flashed a trace of anger, but it did not flare up in the end. He said in a low voice, "Tens of thousands of years ago, I experienced a catastrophe in forest domain. It caused countless experts to fall. King was lucky that he did not die. Because of this, his strength was greatly reduced, and his origin was severely damaged. He had no choice but to return to his original state and use the last of his origin power to create this chaotic space. He used his own origin fire to cultivate here. After 10,000 years, I have only recovered a tiny bit of my original strength. If I want to fully recover, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of years it will take. However, with the help of the Monarch Flame, King's strength can be restored very quickly." It was because of this that King sensed the aura of the Monarch Flame that he summoned the fire spirit of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. Xiao Yan calmed his mind and calmed his mind. It took him a long time to sort out what the fire dragon had said. After that, the doubt in his eyes became even greater. Then, may I know how you are going to borrow it? Let my main body enter the fire source of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. The fire dragon stared fixedly at the Chaos Great Monarch Flame formed by the Xiao Yi. Its gaze was as sharp as lightning, as if it had shot straight into the deepest part of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. Fire Source? Xiao Yan grinned. It was another unknown name. Fire Source is the highest temperature among all monarch flames. It is also the source of all monarch flames. It is like a wick. As long as the fire source is not extinguished, the monarch flame can be reborn. King needs to enter the source of the fire and borrow the source energy of the fire to heal his injuries. Xiao Yan frowned. He could vaguely feel that something was wrong. He immediately asked, "What if the fire source is destroyed?" The fire dragon hesitated for a moment and said vaguely, "It won't. Every monarch flame was born from the origin of the heaven and earth. It was a sacred object of the heaven and earth. It will never grow again. Moreover, the source of the fire is the origin of a monarch flame. Unless you suffer an irreparable injury, it won't be extinguished easily." CK. Xiao Yan couldn't help but curse after hearing this. Did this guy think that he was a rookie who had just entered the world for the first time? If one wanted to enter the fire source to cultivate, one would need to use one's toe to know that one had to absorb the energy of the fire source. At that time, the Chaos Great Monarch Flame would suffer some injuries, and it might even endanger its source. This fellow spoke with ease. Then if the fire source is extinguished, what will happen to the Chaos Great Monarch Flame? He held back the rejection that came out of his mouth. Xiao Yan thought for a moment and said, although he didn't know how powerful the true body of the fire dragon was, however, he could figure out some clues from the brown flame that made Xiao Yi's, which made one's heart palpitate, according to Xiao Yan's guess. This brown flame was likely another kind of monarch flame. Although he did not understand why the fire dragon needed to borrow the fire source of the weaker Chaos Great Monarch flames, but if it didn't cause too much damage to the Xiao Yi, it could help the fire dragon recover its strength. At that time, it might be able to obtain a great help. The fire dragon pondered for a moment, then shook its head and said, "Don't worry. The Chaos Great Monarch flame is a rare flame of the heaven and earth. It's not comparable to ordinary flames. The fire source won't extinguish. Even if it's extinguished, it won't have much of an impact. This fire dragon was formed by the essence of the egg that had been recuperating for 10,000 years. Although it could speak human language, it obviously didn't have a meticulous mind." The vague answer was immediately heard by Xiao Yan. A bad feeling flashed across Xiao Yan's heart. He looked at the fire dragon, whose eyes were somewhat wandering. After thinking for a moment, he knew that the matter was definitely not as simple as what the fire dragon had said. Just as Xiao Yan was thinking, the somewhat perturbed voice of the Xiao Yi suddenly sounded in his mind. "Master, I know a little about the fire source." Xiao Yan's brows slightly twitched. His expression did not change at all, but he asked anxiously in his heart. "The source of the fire of the monarch flame is the most fundamental thing of the monarch flame. If the source of the fire is extinguished, the monarch flame will disappear from the world. All the weaker flames related to this monarch flame will also disappear at the same time." After listening to Little Yi's words, Xiao Yan's expression finally changed. He looked at the fire dragon with an ashen face. Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with anger. As expected, although Xiao Yan had thought of many consequences after the fire source of the Chaos Great Monarch flame was extinguished, such a serious consequence was still out of his expectations. According to the Xiao Yi, if the fire source was extinguished, not only would the Xiao Yi disappear from the world, even the flames related to the Xiao Yi would not be spared. However, the current Xiao Yi was the fusion of 22 types of alien flames in the Fighting Qi continent. Before he ascended, Xiao Yan had used the divine ability of the Fighting Monarch to separate each of the 22 types of alien flames into a Dao Child Fire, so that the alien flame could be passed down forever in the Fighting Qi continent. However, those tiny flames were still closely related to the current Xiao Yi. If the fire source of the Xiao Yi was extinguished, not only did the Chaos Great Monarch flame in the Xiao Yi, which was a great world, disappear, but it also had all the heavenly flames in the Fighting Qi continent. This method of destroying the heavenly flames in the Fighting Qi continent was too vicious. "No, I absolutely won't agree." Xiao Yan's words of refusal were blurted out without hesitation. If the fire source was extinguished, not to mention that the Xiao Yi was his strongest helper and best friend, Xiao Yan would never agree to the dissipation of the alien flame. It was an important way to become a sovereign in Fighting Qi continent, and it was essential to refine high-grade medicine pills. Xiao Yan could hardly imagine what would happen if all the heavenly flames in Fighting Qi continent were to disappear. How much dimmer would the future of the Fighting Qi continent be? Therefore, Xiao Yan's refusal was firm, and his tone was full of unquestionable firmness. The fire dragon was also irritated because Xiao Yan refused to agree. Its dragon body kept twisting, and the flames that occasionally appeared on its dragon scales showed the anxiety and restlessness in Xiao Yan's heart. After waiting patiently for a long time and hearing Xiao Yan's refusal without hesitation, the fire dragon roared as if it had detonated a bomb. Its dragon claws squeezed through the air and Xiao Yan's expression changed. He couldn't control himself and came in front of the fire dragon. The hot dragon breath hit his face. Seeing Xiao Yan being pulled up, the Chaos Great Monarch flame in the fire dragon's hand was about to burn intensely. When the latter forcefully squeezed with its dragon claw, the Chaos Great Monarch flame seemed to be confined and couldn't move at all. Xiao Yan looked at the fire dragon, which was right in front of him, and quickly calmed down. He looked at the red eyes of the fire dragon with a firm and fearless expression, and his eyes were also filled with dominance. The fire dragon's cold eyes looked at Xiao Yan for a moment and found that the human in front of him was not threatened by its dragon aura at all. The fire dragon snorted and his deep voice was filled with anger. "Human," he said, "don't be ungrateful. King can lower his status. Being arrogant and talking to you like this is enough to show you. Do you think you can't do anything because you don't agree with King? You are too naive. Too foolish. King told you that even Emperor cultivation warriors can't stay in this place for long due to the high temperature. What's more, you're just a tiny fighting monarch. If King wants to kill you, it was as easy as blowing off dust. At that time, your Chaos Great Monarch Flame will still be King's, and forever. Think about it carefully. After saying that, he sent Xiao Yan flying with a dragon claw. Xiao Yan suffered a heavy blow to his chest. He glided in the air for more than 10 meters before landing on the ground. Thanks to the giant jaws Ant King's inner armor, Xiao Yan only snorted lightly. With some difficulty, Xiao Yan stabilized the somewhat messy origin Monarch Qi in his body. He looked at the fire dragon, whose anger had yet to dissipate, and said with a smile, "Since killing me is as easy as blowing off dust, why are you telling me so much? With your strength, you should be able to snatch my Chaos Great Monarch Flame with ease, right? Why do I need to get a promise from an ant to you?" Hearing Xiao Yan's words, a hint of anger flashed across the fire dragon's eyes. It gave Xiao Yan a fierce look, and its voice trembled due to its fury. "Are you forcing King to kill you?" When he spoke, he looked like he wanted to swallow Xiao Yan alive. Even so, the fire dragon felt a little uneasy. Xiao Yan's words matched its thoughts. In the beginning, it wanted to kill Xiao Yan directly, but when it saw the deep relationship between the Chaos Great Monarch Flame and Xiao Yan, it had to change its mind. The Chaos Great Monarch Flame was Xiao Yan's Monarch Flame after all. It seemed that the relationship between the two of them was extremely good. If Xiao Yan was killed, the Chaos Great Monarch Flame would become hot-headed and plan to take revenge for Xiao Yan. If it couldn't suppress it a little, it would take advantage of the time when it was recuperating to activate the fire source and self-destruct. That would be very fun. Therefore, in its heart, it was better for this kid to be tactful. Just as Xiao Yan and the fire dragon were at a stalemate, some golden flames suddenly emerged from the sealed Chaos Great Monarch Flame. The golden flames seemed to have the sound of thunder. In just a moment, it broke free from the fire dragon's confinement. Taking advantage of the latter's momentary daze, the Chaos Great Monarch Flame had turned into a Xiao Yi and returned to Xiao Yan's arms. The fire dragon reacted quickly. Its dragon claws moved continuously, and some afterimages flashed past. A trace of the golden flames that had yet to be extinguished was caught by the former. Just as the fire dragon was carefully sensing this trace of golden flame, the Xiao Yi had already begun communicating with Xiao Yan. "Master, this fire dragon is too strong, and we are in its territory. If this continues, it won't be a solution. If it is completely angered by you, you won't be able to fight it with your current strength." Xiao Yan's face revealed a bitter smile when he heard that. He sighed and said, "I know all of these, but it has been recuperating in your fire source. If the fire source is extinguished, the price will be too great. Not only will this affect me, it might even endanger the future of fighting Qi continent. This is what I'm most worried about." The Xiao Yi was startled. "Master, what are you worried about?" Xiao Yan forced a smile and told the Xiao Yi about the possibility that the heavenly flame in the lower realm might disappear. The Xiao Yi nodded thoughtfully. It was silent for a moment, and then it suddenly cried out in joy. "Master, do you still remember the 9 profound golden thunder?" Seeing Xiao Yan nod blankly, nodding his head, the Xiao Yi continued, "That day, after I swallowed the 9 profound golden thunder, I was no longer a simple Chaos Great Monarch Flame after my recuperation. I now have some power of thunder and lightning. The heavenly flame in the lower realm is just a single flame. If my fire source is extinguished, those heavenly flames will not dissipate. They will only weaken a little." Before he had time to carefully savor the Xiao Yi's words, the fire dragon's excited roar sounded. "Brat, your Chaos Great Monarch Flame is extraordinary. The fire source is far stronger than the other Chaos Great Monarch Flames. The possibility of it being extinguished is almost non-existent." Xiao Yan was startled. Combining the words of the Xiao Yi and the fire dragon, Xiao Yan's heart began to beat rapidly. After a moment of silence, Xiao Yan said with a serious expression, "Are you sure about the Xiao Yi?" After hearing the Xiao Yi's affirmative answer, Xiao Yan thought for a moment and then said fiercely, "If it destroys your fire source, even if I have to risk my life, I will make it pay the price." He did not notice that the Xiao Yi was touched by his words. After saying those ruthless words, Xiao Yan raised his head and looked at the excited fire dragon in the air. "All right, I promise you that I will let your true body cultivate in the fire source of the Xiao Yi." The fire dragon let out a long breath. Its fury dissipated along with these words. Looking at the golden fire thread in its claw, it couldn't help but exclaim. "But I have a condition." Xiao Yan's unexpected words made the fire dragon frown and said in a deep voice. "Human, don't go too far. Although King really wants to recover from his injuries, you don't have the right to threaten him." Xiao Yan smiled and said, "Don't worry, I won't make any unreasonable request. Since your main body wants to recuperate in the fire source of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame, you have to ensure the safety of the Chaos Great Monarch Flame." The fire dragon nodded slightly. "Of course, I will kill anything that threatens the Chaos Great Monarch Flame with my life." Xiao Yan nodded his head in satisfaction when he heard that. If he met a powerful opponent in the future, he would definitely use the Chaos Great Monarch Flame. At that time, the fire dragon would have no choice but to come out. It could be considered as indirectly protecting him. With this unknown level fire dragon's bodyguard, he didn't have to worry about walking in the vast forest domain anymore, such as the small crimson fire flame wolf that had almost forced him into a desperate situation. It was just a piece of trash that could be killed with a single claw. The fire dragon glanced at Xiao Yan, who had malicious intentions, and clearly understood something. He opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say anything. With a low moan, he turned around and returned to the side of the huge egg. The Xiao Yi followed closely behind the fire dragon and came to the side of the huge egg. In the distance, Xiao Yan looked at the huge egg that was starting to change under the control of the fire dragon and mumbled, "I wonder if this is a blessing or a curse." Outside the cave, under the blue sky, the crimson fire flame wolf, who was entangled with the middle-aged man, seemed to have sensed something. Suddenly, its expression changed. It let out a miserable howl towards the sky, and then it gave up on the middle-aged man and flew towards its own cave. Just a moment ago, the crimson fire flame wolf suddenly couldn't feel the aura of its child. Immediately, he was shocked and furious. He desperately rushed towards his own cave. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, forming an arc. With a wave of his sleeve, he caught up to the crimson fire flame wolf and laughed loudly. "Crimson fire flame wolf, the outcome of the battle between you and me is uncertain. Why do you have to leave?" As he spoke, the middle-aged man pushed out with his palm, which carried a powerful force as it turned into a huge palm and slapped towards the former. His body flashed and barely dodged the middle-aged man's casual attack. The crimson fire flame wolf's eyes were filled with a blood-red color as it roared, "Scram!" As it spoke, its entire body erupted with blazing flames. It turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the latter. After not being able to sense the child's aura for such a long time, the crimson fire flame wolf was on the verge of going crazy. Sensing the crimson fire flame wolf's furious attack, the middle-aged man's expression changed. He could only temporarily avoid the attack. Without the middle-aged man's obstruction, the crimson fire flame wolf's speed increased a bit more. Wherever it passed, the flames would not stop. The middle-aged man frowned as he watched the crimson fire flame wolf's figure disappear into the distance. He calmed down the remaining origin monarch Qis in his body, and then his figure flashed as he left this place. My soul force clearly sensed that it was just a tiny fighting monarch, but it actually killed the little brat of the crimson fire flame wolf. His body rushed forward. The middle-aged man's mind was stirred. I wonder if that person has obtained the red fiery spirit blood. Quote, One inside the underground cave, Xiao Yan looked at the continuously shrinking egg, and his eyes couldn't help but reveal a hint of surprise. As the egg shrunk, it continuously released a glaring light. Under Xiao Yan's powerful soul perception, the light contained a faintly discernible and intimidating aura. Sensing this aura, he recalled the scene when he first saw the egg. The imposing aura emitted by the fire dragon that looked down upon the heavens and the earth shook Xiao Yan's heart. This aura, Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with extraordinary splendor. After that, he quickly sat down with his legs crossed. He formed a hand seal and closed his eyes to cultivate under the slightly surprised gaze of the fire dragon. Very quickly, the powerful deterrent force contained in the intense light flowed into Xiao Yan's body along with his breathing. It only took a moment. A faint layer of red appeared on Xiao Yan's skin, and his body seemed to be unable to withstand the strong deterrent force. Blue veins were exposed, and Xiao Yan's face became extremely red at this moment. Blood almost broke out from his naked upper body and chest. Waves of beast-like roars were slowly heard from Xiao Yan's throat. The fire dragon not far away looked at Xiaoyan and a trace of shock flashed across its eyes. It mumbled to itself, "This brat, he actually wants to absorb the holy beast's origin force." A moment later, Xiaoyan suddenly let out a deep cry of pain. His voice was filled with an unbearable pain. In the next moment, the enormous dragon intimidating aura seemed to have transformed into a fire dragon. The aura of the fire dragon was shocking, and the dragon intimidating aura soared into the sky. The fire dragon coiled its body and roared at Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan forcefully opened his sleepy eyes. The pain that came from his body caused the latter to frown. His body trembled slightly because of the pain. Looking at the fire dragon in the sky that was formed by the dragon's aura, the roar of the fire dragon was like a sound wave that kept hitting Xiaoyan's eardrums. The vast and mighty deterrent force was like a rolling wave. Hong Long, arg! The deterrent force kept entering his body, turning into endless origin monarch Qi. When Xiaoyan's body could no longer contain it, he immediately roared out in pain. In an instant, an vast and mighty emperor's aura rose from Xiaoyan's spiritual altar. Like a sharp and fierce sword, the sword soared into the sky and slashed at the fire dragon in the sky. The fire dragon let out an angry roar. After struggling for a moment, it wailed and turned into spiritual energy that filled the sky. The moment the fire dragon dissipated, Xiaoyan's aura suddenly soared. A strong aura was released from his body, and it contained traces of dragon's might. The power of the origin monarch Qi had also increased by a lot. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Xiaoyan waited for the origin monarch Qi in his body to calm down. He raised his head and looked at the stunned fire dragon. He smiled and said, "Such a heavy gift, I will accept it." The fire dragon was speechless for a long time. Half a day had passed. Then he mumbled to himself, "What an abnormal fellow. He's only an early 9 stars fighting monarch, but he's actually able to absorb the deterrent force into his own origin monarch Qi." He didn't care about the fire dragon. Xiaoyan muttered to himself as he felt the majestic origin monarch Qi in his body. He closed his eyes in an intoxicated manner and absorbed the dragon might contained within the intense light. Although he had suffered a huge injury, this was still not worth mentioning compared to the benefits he had obtained. This time, he fused the deterrent force contained within the dragon's might into the origin monarch Qi. Not only did it solidify and strengthen his origin monarch Qi, it also caused a trace of dragon's might and deterrent force to be born within the origin monarch crystal. In the future, if he were to fight with an expert, the deterrent force within the origin monarch Qi would be released. Regardless of the difference in strength, at least his aura would not be suppressed by others. Compared to this benefit, the excitement of advancing from the intermediate 8-star fighting monarch to the early 9-star fighting monarch was not very strong. Of course, Xiaoyan also knew that the reason why he was able to rely on the strength of a small fighting monarch to fuse the intimidation aura of the mysterious dragon's might into his origin monarch crystal was because of this. It was mainly because of the emperor's aura that was contained within his body, the fighting monarch. It was a peak existence in the fighting Qi continent, and every fighting monarch possessed the ability to look down on the world. Although the fighting monarch in the great world had become the lowest existence in the world, it was still a supreme emperor's aura. However, the supreme aura still existed in their bones. This kind of monarch aura that was condensed in their bloodline was absolutely not inferior to the aura of any expert in the great world. And this imperial aura was something that ordinary cultivators of the great world did not possess. Only those supreme experts who stood at the peak of the pyramid possessed this kind of unparalleled imperial aura. This kind of unparalleled imperial aura was the greatest advantage that the fighting monarch of lower realm possessed compared to the original inhabitants of most great worlds. The fire dragon softly muttered a few times as it sensed the faint intimidation aura that Xiaoyan emitted. After that, it turned its eyes to the fist-sized egg. At this moment, light was circulating on the surface of the egg. It was extremely dazzling. In Xiaoyan's eyes, inside this tiny eggshell, it was as if there was a world-shaking ancient ferocious beast hidden within it. The fire dragon let out a low roar, and its several jong long body began to burn. Then, it transformed into a brilliant stream of fire and shot into the enormous egg. When the fire dragon was about to enter the egg, Xiaoyan's heart suddenly moved. He urgently asked, "How is your strength?" The moment the fire stream entered the eggshell, the fire dragon's voice rang in Xiao Yan's ears, at least stronger than the fire wolf on top. As soon as the voice faded, the huge egg soared into the sky and turned into a ray of light that entered the chaos great monarch flame. When Xiao Yan heard this, he couldn't help but be overjoyed. The strength of the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf should have far exceeded that of an ordinary monarch emperor, and the fire dragon was even stronger than the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf. It should be comparable to that mysterious middle-aged man, or perhaps even stronger. This time, he had won a lot. The delighted Xiao Yan naturally didn't see it, but the little golden dragon on the Chaos Great Monarch Flame seemed to have moved a few times. It seemed to have grown a little bigger. The moment the huge egg entered the Chaos Great Monarch Flame's body, a tiny spatial crack appeared on the spot where the huge egg was located. In just a moment, it had filled the entire spatial zone. Then, like glass shattering, the space shattered in just a few breaths' time. In the next moment, the Xiao Yi that Xiao Yan and the Chaos Great Monarch Flame had transformed into appeared in the inner hole of the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf. Looking around, Xiao Yan let out a breath. When he thought about what had just happened, it was like a dream. He came to the side of the 8 pillars of fire and waved his hand. The stone pillars were kept into the storage ring. Xiao Yan looked around. He picked up the small Crimson Fire Flame Wolf's spirit core, and when he found that there were no other treasures, he turned around and walked outside. Along the way, the high temperature had no effect on Xiao Yan. After the experience just now, Xiao Yan's overall strength had more than doubled compared to when he first came in, and his strength had an unprecedented breakthrough. Thinking of the true master of this cave, Xiao Yan's excited mood immediately calmed down. He immediately rushed towards the cave entrance. Although he had the fire dragon, a heavyweight fighter, Xiao Yan wasn't confident that he could invite this Buddha. It was better to leave this place as soon as possible. While he was flying, Xiao Yan suddenly heard an extremely angry wolf roar not far away from him. Xiao Yan was slightly startled. The Crimson Fire Flame Wolf had really come in. After a brief moment of fear, Xiao Yan felt relieved. Since he couldn't avoid fighting the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf head-on, the fire dragon would definitely come out. He could use this opportunity to see how strong the fire dragon was. As Xiao Yan was thinking, the red fiery dragon had already appeared in front of the former. At this moment, the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf looked extremely miserable. There were many wounds on its body. It seemed that it had gone through a tough battle with the middle-aged man. Xiao Yan looked at the huge red wolf not far away from him, and his eyes didn't reveal a trace of shock. The Crimson Fire Flame Wolf in front of him was the first Monarch Emperor-level devil beast he had seen in the Great World. Compared to the devil beast in the Fighting Qi continent, the power it possessed was indeed different. It was wilder and fiercer. The source energy contained in its body gave people a strong sense of pressure. Oh! The Crimson Fire Flame Wolf's sensitive sense of smell immediately sensed the aura of its own child that was being contaminated by Xiao Yan's body. At this time, the little wolf was nowhere to be seen. When the nightmare in its heart became reality, the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf suddenly let out a miserable roar. Its eyes were bloodshot, and a deep roar kept coming out from its throat. Its huge body was trembling because of its anger. Before the roar faded, the huge body of the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf lunged at Xiao Yan. The energy of the Monarch Emperor-level heavenly beast was fully unleashed, and an intense energy rushed towards Xiao Yan from all directions. Xiao Yan, who had merged with the deterrent force, naturally wasn't afraid of the deterrent force of the heavenly beast's aura. He slightly unleashed the Origin Monarch Qi. It easily neutralized the heavenly beast's aura. He looked at the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf that was lunging at him. There was no sign of panic in Xiao Yan's eyes. He extended his right palm. A crimson gold flame appeared out of thin air. Just as the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf was about to lunge at the flame, the latter started trembling. In the next moment, accompanied by a furious dragon roar, a fire dragon rushed out from the flame. It charged straight towards the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf. Under the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf's astonished gaze, the fire dragon was like a dagger. It pierced through the former's neck, carrying with it boiling hot blood. A huge wolf head shot up into the sky. The huge wolf body trembled a few times before it also fell to the ground with a loud bang. After killing the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf with a single strike, the fire dragon seemed to be dissatisfied as it roared at Xiao Yan. It turned into a ray of light and once again entered the chaos great monarch flame. Xiao Yan let out a hollow laugh. He looked at the huge wolf head that fell to the ground. The crimson fire flame wolf's eyes were wide open, as if it was filled with unwillingness. Xiao Yan looked at the crimson fire flame wolf's eyes that were filled with unwillingness. He couldn't help but laugh out loud. Killing the middle-rank heavenly beast with a single strike? What kind of strength was this? This time, he had really picked up a treasure. Just as he was about to leave, his expression suddenly changed. Xiao Yan looked at the crimson fire flame wolf's corpse once again, his eyes filled with excitement. Middle-rank heavenly beast's heavenly core. Immediately, he squatted down and wrapped his right hand in flames. He reached into the crimson fire flame wolf's chest and touched it for a moment. Suddenly, his face lit up with joy. He pulled with force, and a fiery red crystal core with no flaws or dirt appeared in front of Xiao Yan. Hee. Xiao Yan licked his lips. His eyes were filled with endless joy. I've obtained one of the 5 heavenly beast heavenly cores. Into his storage ring, Xiao Yan looked at the corpse of the crimson fire flame wolf on the ground. His eyes sparkled for a moment, then he waved his hand. A huge python's corpse was thrown out. He didn't even look at the python's corpse. Xiao Yan touched the body of the crimson fire flame wolf with one hand, and the storage ring on his finger flashed with a faint light. Then, the huge fire wolf's corpse on the ground disappeared without a trace. After putting the crimson fire flame wolf's corpse into the storage ring, Xiao Yan clapped his hands and ran towards the cave entrance without looking back. Being exposed to the glaring sunlight, Xiao Yan habitually narrowed his eyes and looked at the large trees around the cave entrance that had been destroyed. Xiao Yan looked at the sky and did not see the middle-aged man's figure. He was alert and took a deep breath. Xiao Yan touched the storage ring on his finger and flew towards the direction of the fallen holy mountain. He did not know how long he had been running for. When Xiao Yan stopped to rest for a while, a voice came from the sky. "Little brother, I have something to bother you." "How about it?" At the same time, a smiling middle-aged man landed from the sky. Under Xiao Yan's vigilant gaze, he stood on the ground not far away from the man. The middle-aged man in front of him was the monarch emperor-level expert that had fought with the crimson fire flame wolf. At a close distance, Xiao Yan could clearly see the former's appearance. His hair was slightly white. His square face looked quite strong. As he waved his sleeve, the sound of wind breaking was heard. Letting out a light breath, Xiao Yan stared into the middle-aged man's eyes without any fear. He said indifferently, "May I know what Senior needs me for?" The middle-aged man looked at the little baldy in front of him and muttered in his heart. Just now, he had seen with his own eyes the crazy crimson fire flame wolf rushing into his cave. A monarch emperor-level heavenly beast going crazy, even he was a little afraid. This little baldy, who was not even a sovereign, had actually come out safely. Since that was the case, the crimson fire flame wolf was already dead. Thinking of this possibility, the middle-aged man's expression changed slightly. His facial expression slowly became serious. In addition, Xiao Yan was staring at him fearlessly. This further proved his thoughts. The middle-aged man didn't dare show any neglect to Xiao Yan's question. He immediately smiled and said, "I, Zhao Qingshan, am a 400 Dao monarch emperor. At the same time, I'm also a Tier 5 2-star alchemy master, a person from the eastern region of the Star Moon Spirit Domain. I originally planned to try my luck at the fallen sacred mountain in the forest domain, but I didn't gain anything from it." A few days ago, he had coincidentally discovered the cave of the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf. Although the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf was only a middle-rank heavenly beast, every 100 years, a drop of fire spirit blood would condense in its body. The fire spirit blood is extremely helpful in refining some 5th-rank medicine pills, so I'm quite interested in it. I waited for it for a few days before waiting for it to leave. Just as I was about to enter, I was stopped by the fire wolf that had rushed back in time. "Little friend, you actually got a lot of benefits. Look at you, little brother. It should be a bountiful harvest." As he spoke, the middle-aged man's hawk-like sharp eyes kept sizing up Xiao Yan. He seemed to want to see something. A 5th-grade Emperor Pill Master? 5th-rank medicine pill? Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat as his blood boiled. Suppressing his excitement, Xiao Yan cupped his hands and said, "This junior is Xiao Yan." Senior Zhao had really overestimated this junior. What did he gain then? He only picked up some relatively large firestones inside. I believe that with Senior Zhao's eyesight, he naturally won't be interested in them. Kid, don't play dumb with me. Zhao Qingshan looked at Xiao Yan with a smile that wasn't a smile. He said slowly, I have lived for more than 300 years. You can't fool me with just a few words. Picking up a few larger pieces of flint is worth you coming out of the cave with a smile? Xiao Yan's eyebrows unconsciously trembled. Then he sneered in his heart. Even though he was a little happy just now, his life and death experiences in the lower realm could not be summarized by Zhao Qingshan's more than 300 years of experience. The latter thought he was an old fox, but Xiao Yan thought he was as cunning as him. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan smiled faintly. With a respectful expression, he said, Senior, you must be joking. I am just a small fighting monarch. In Senior's eyes, a useless stone is a very useful treasure to me. After Xiao Yan easily resolved his doubts, Zhao Qingshan couldn't help but feel depressed. This little baldy looked young, but he didn't expect him to say so. After thinking for a while, Zhao Qingshan looked directly into Xiao Yan's eyes and said, Little guy. Let me tell you the truth, the red fiery spirit blood is indeed very useful to me. If you are willing to give me a few drops, as a 5th grade Emperor Pill Master, how about it? Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat. To be honest, this condition was extremely tempting to the current Xiao Yan. His strength was steadily increasing, but his skill in alchemy had not improved at all. This time, he met Zhao Qingshan, and he could ask him about some things related to alchemy in the great world. Zhao Qingshan was delighted when he saw Xiao Yan falling into deep thought. He hastily said, Little friend, the fire element energy contained in the fire spirit blood is extremely strong. Little friend, you are only a fighting monarch, you can't absorb it. If he forcefully absorbed it, it wouldn't only be useless to increase his strength. How about this? Take out a drop of fiery spirit blood and I'll exchange it for 10 fighting monarchs that are suitable for fighting monarch cultivation. How about it? After saying these words, Zhao Qingshan's heart was filled with wild joy. This kid was still too tender. 10 fighting monarchs suitable for cultivating medicine pills was merely a matter of a wave of his hand to a 5th grade Emperor Pill Master like him. A drop of fiery spirit blood was an essential item for refining some 5th rank medicine pills. 10 fighting monarchs of the fighting monarch grade were at most 10,000 monarch crystals in the auction house. As for a single drop of fiery spirit blood, it was worth at least 200,000 to 300,000 monarch crystals. After hearing Zhao Qingshan's words, Xiao Yan's eyes sparkled, and his mind became active. After being baptized by life and death for several decades in the lower realm, Xiao Yan's senses were exceptionally sharp. He only sneered in his heart when Zhao Qingshan mentioned the conditions for the exchange. Although he didn't know about the alchemy of the great world, he could vaguely guess the value of the flaming spirit blood from the fact that it was a necessary material to refine some Xiao Yans. A medicine pill suitable for the cultivation of medicine pills could be easily refined with Zhao Qingshan's strength as a 5th grade Emperor Pill Master. However, the red fiery spirit blood was something the former had painstakingly sought after. The value of the two was obvious at a glance. After a long time, Xiao Yan looked at Zhao Qingshan once more. His eyes were filled with cunning as he said, Senior Zhao, I don't need a medicine pill suitable for fighting monarch cultivation. However, I can use a drop of flaming spirit blood and Senior to exchange for all the information related to alchemy and medicine pill cultivation in the great world. Zhao Qingshan was delighted when he heard this. As long as this information reached the town, he would be able to spend several hundred monarch crystals to obtain it all. It could be considered something that everyone knew about. This little guy actually used precious fire spirit blood to exchange for this kind of useless thing. Zhao Qingshan couldn't help but be overjoyed. Immediately, he said, No problem, although this information is a secret between alchemists. Little friend, since you have such great courage, you should know that you are also a person who is obsessed with alchemy. Then I will bear the pain and give in. As he spoke, his brows were tightly knitted, and his expression was solemn, as if he had truly given up on some precious item. When Xiao Yan saw Zhao Qingshan's pained expression, he almost cursed out loud. This old fellow really knew how to pretend, and he didn't even tell anyone about it. If he really didn't tell him the secret, could he really exchange a drop of fiery spiritual blood for it? Although Xiao Yan was well aware that he could exchange a drop of fiery spiritual blood for all the information about the concoction of pills that might be known to everyone, however, to him, the effect of the fiery spiritual blood was far less important than the information of pill concoction. Besides, it might be useful to him if he knew about all kinds of medicine pills. Laughing coldly in his heart, Xiao Yan touched the storage ring with his finger. A red pillar of fire that was as tall as a person appeared beside Xiao Yan. In an instant, the temperature within a few meters of Xiao Yan's body rose. Some of the ordinary wild grass instantly turned into ashes without any fire. Within the pillar of fire, an unusually bright red drop of blood was slowly wiggling. As the drop of blood wiggled, the temperature of the pillar of fire was sometimes high and sometimes low, and it was extremely magical. When Zhao Qingshan saw the fire spirit blood within the fire pillar, his eyes suddenly widened. His breathing became a little hurried, and he couldn't help but grab it. He moved his feet slightly, and just as he was about to lose his mind, Zhao Qingshan suddenly saw the curve of Xiao Yan's mouth. This curve instantly woke Zhao Qingshan up. Zhao Qingshan finally calmed down when he thought of the possibility that the Crimson Fire Flame Wolf might die in the hands of the former. Although this little baldy in front of him only had the strength of a fighting monarch, in his eyes, he was no different from an ant, but when faced with the might of a monarch emperor-level expert, he was not affected in the slightest. Even his expression remained calm, and his tone when speaking to him was filled with a sense of neither inferiority nor inferiority. Obviously, he had some kind of confidence. This fellow must have some kind of background. Otherwise, an ordinary fighting monarch wouldn't be able to do such a thing. These thoughts flashed across his mind for a moment before he chuckled. Zhao Qingshan flicked both of his fingers, and a ball of light shot out. The ball of light instantly arrived in front of Xiao Yan. "Little friend, you have such great interest in alchemy. You must be a great alchemist in the lower realm. However, it is extremely difficult for the soul of the lower realm to transform into the soul of a great world. This is the information about alchemy and medicine pills. Take a look, little friend." Xiao Yan looked at the light in front of him. With a wave of his hand, the fire pillar landed in Zhao Qingshan's hand. Xiao Yan glanced at the latter, who was unable to contain his joy. He smiled and said, "Senior, please wait for a moment. I will have to trouble you after I finish reading some information." Zhao Qingshan was delighted and hurriedly said, "No problem. Little friend, just take a look. I have plenty of time." After saying this, Zhao Qingshan suddenly saw the smile on Xiao Yan's face. He couldn't help but be stunned. That smile gave him the feeling that everything he had done was under Xiao Yan's control. He shook his head and threw that feeling out of his mind. Zhao Qingshan looked at Xiao Yan, who was slowly closing his eyes. Even if Xiao Yan had a trump card that could kill monarch emperor warriors, it was still enough. It could be killed with just a finger. Zhao Qingshan was a famous monarch emperor, and he was also a noble 5th-grade emperor pill master. How could it possibly be in the grasp of this little baldy in front of him? After instructing Xiao Yi in his heart to protect him, Xiao Yan's mind gradually sunk into the brilliance in front of him. At the same time, lines of fire suddenly emerged around Xiao Yan's body. The lines of fire spun rapidly and protected Xiao Yan tightly. As soon as his mind sunk into the light, information that covered the sky and the earth rushed over. Fortunately, Xiao Yan had similar experiences. He shouted in the sky like thunder, causing the huge amount of information to stop on the spot. Streams of information quickly passed through Xiao Yan's mind, and he quickly searched for useful information. After about half an incense stick of time, Xiao Yan finally had a clear understanding of the alchemy system of the Great World. In the Great World, alchemists were divided into 10 grades, and each grade was further divided into 7 stars. Zhao Qingshan was a grade 5 2-star sovereign pill refiner. The Great World was boundless, and although alchemists were counted in the number of grains of sand in the vast river, the ratio of alchemists in the Great World was still shockingly small compared to the lower realms. There were even fewer high-grade alchemists. In some places, the status of a grade 5 sovereign pill refiner was comparable to the weight of an emperor cultivation expert. The reason why there were fewer alchemists was because of the fighting monarch that had ascended from the lower realms. It was extremely rare to find a fighting monarch that could cultivate both the Dan and martial Dao. Even if there were geniuses who cultivated both the Dan and martial Dao, it would be extremely difficult for them to transform the soul of a lower realm emperor into the soul of a great world. Secondly, they were the original residents of a great world. Becoming an alchemist not only required one to possess the fire and wood attributes, but also the fire and wood attributes. Apart from the fact that one's soul power was much stronger than those of the same level, one also needed an extremely fast cultivation speed. This point limited countless people. Even if some people were born with the talent to refine pills, their cultivation strength was too weak. As such, it was impossible for them to become apothecaries. Those who were able to become apothecaries were all geniuses in cultivation. Xiao Yan withdrew his thoughts from the light. He glanced at Zhao Qingshan, who had a look of anticipation on his face, and said with a smile, "Senior, I have made you wait for a long time. I would like to exchange the last drop of fiery spiritual blood for a medicine pill." Quote,